himself getting passed by multiple cars, as I mentioned earlier on, so New off in a very precarious situation, but he often finds himself in these places. He doesn't qualify as well as he races.
Up front, they are getting with Lee Aberdeen and Luca Varani, not very far apart at all here. But I just want to see how Alistair Haig deals with Marcello Kessler coming around the old hairpin.
I would say it's not the best decision they've ever made, just not having done that under the safety car, really.
Yeah, they're taking their pit stop strategies from Ferrari lately or something. What's going on?
In turn one, just too much gas on them, too much feet on the loud pedal, and unfortunately he's dropped him all the way down the order. But Philip Hammer is out in front by an 8.91 seconds. Dan Michael is a wall there, sir. And definitely doesn't want to be hitting that earlier on as well.
Difficult, the understeer is in the dirty air through that final corner because it's such a long corner and you get dragged off into the grass very easily. He'll have the slipstream down it towards the chicane. Peterson was briefly alongside, but that slipstream has saved him and kept him in third.
Yeah, Varani now lost a little bit of time to Aberdeen, about half a second. Peterson is Pike's pushed Morton forward up ahead. He's got out of line. It's now Pike going to have a go at Werrell. Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still start trouble. He's left on second and change. All of a sudden Miller's back in play.
Moving on to the back end of Phil Jocelyn. So there's been a lot of movers and shakers in this first 2 laps here for race.
Absolutely serious racing league. Everybody's allowed to have fun. Yeah, and
It's all about the entertainment, so I hope
everybody is enjoying themselves out there in the chat. We know that Ron is been enjoying himself watching the Burger King machines off into the grass a little bit there as they're really bunching up now.
Standing out from the crowd is a challenge. You have the passion, courage, and ambition to do something extraordinary. You have an awesome story to tell and a wonderful vision to share with the world. At Eddie Videos, we take that vision and turn it into reality so you can be heard above the rest. You need something different, and we give you the ultimate advantage. We can help you transform your ideas, images, and clips into a professional video that brings your message to life and sets a new bar for excellence. Visuals, voiceovers, editing, animations, whatever you need, we've got it all. If you're a new business looking to make your mark or an experienced company searching for something new and amazing, we're here to help. Trust us to take your video to amazing levels of awesomeness.
Does he have it? Medeiros is going to get it.
He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still start trouble. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry! Good evening and welcome to the Radical Race Series once again on a Thursday. It is round 6 and we are here at Jerez, track length 4.37 kilometers and set in the city of Jerez de la Frontera in Spain. I am James Parfitt. I'm going to be here joined in the booth not by Ewan O'Leary this week but by Callum Milam, who is joining me as Ewan is off somewhere doing something. He's a little bit busy. So what we'll do, we'll bring you up to date with the stand-ins. And it is John McHutchinson out in front on 182 points with Simon Edwards on 166. Mike Boos on 150 and Luke Maxwell up 8 places on 145. George Gonzaga on 134. Jamie Bird on 131 with Seth Brown on 126. Paul LeMay on 124 and Darryl Taylor on 109. And rounding out the top 10 is Damien G on 105. Below that, we've got Colin Wynn, Michael LeMay, Paul Godden, Robert Woodward, Wayne Palmer, David Rolliston, Phil Jocelyn, and Phil Glover. Then we've got Sergio Dela Cruz, James Child, David Beasley, Graham Brown, Chris Max Davis, Paul Crabb, James Berry, Martina Ward, Tim Adcock, Eric Brawley, and Scott Lear is the final point scoring position on 8 points. We've got a bit of a light field here this week, 15 cars. I've been told that it is summer holidays. People are on holiday. Some are in Italy watching Bruce Springsteen, Mr. Paul Clark, and some are prepping for the Spa 24-hour this weekend, of course, on iRacing. So we have got 15 cars on track. It still should be a great race. We know these do these every single Thursday. But listen, you've listened to me waffle on. Let's bring in Mr. Callum Milam into the booth. Good evening to you, sir, and welcome to the Radical Race Series.
Good evening. Thank you very much. Looking forward to this. This is the first time I've had the honour of sitting in the booth when we have the Radical Race Series on, and well, I've turned maybe 3 corners in these cars in my lifetime, and well, this is the first time I've been able to sit in and actually watch a full race of these Radicals. I've seen the SR8s go around fairly recently, but seeing the 425 brake horsepower engines in these Radical SR10s go around is going to be something a little bit different to what I saw before with the SR8. So looking forward to seeing what action these guys can bring tonight, and judging on the times, it's going to be some fairly close racing tonight. Yeah, there is slightly smaller grid, but that doesn't mean there's going to be any less action. It could be 15 cars all bumper to bumper all throughout the race. So really looking forward to this one. Well, a quite challenging track. It seems fairly wide, but there are some corners that do catch you out if you are sleeping a little bit around these circuits.
Yeah, we have seen people go off in practice here at Jerez as well. We've got a 9-lap sprint and a 15-lap feature race. No pit stops. Last time out at Laguna, it was Luke Maxwell, John McHutchinson there in second place, and Barry in third. In the feature, it was George Gonzaga, Jamie Bird and Graham Brown, your 1, 2, 3. Now, before I start, I must apologise, okay? First off, I'm going to apologise to George Gonzaga. I've met George in real life. Really nice guy, really nice fella. I used a choice of words to describe George last week. I did use the terminology of consistently inconsistent. Well, I did find out a little, after watching certain things back and everything else, it was a little bit harsh on George to say that. So apologies to George for that one. And at the end of the day, he did take the win in the feature. So fair play to that. But apologies to Mr. George Gonzaga there as well for my choice of words. Probably should think before I speak. But then again, well, if anybody knows me from commentating, you know that I generally don't think before I speak. So yeah, so apologies to Mr. George Gonzaga here this evening as well. So hopefully he'll go out and smash it. Currently sitting in 7th place. Jerez is an interesting circuit, and it's going to be interesting due to the fact that we've seen racing here before, and it has been okay, all right, and I'll say okay. It's not been a stunner, don't get me wrong, but it also hasn't been shocking where at any one point there isn't people racing, right? So it's always been like that. Now, what I was talking about with Ewan last time out was obviously, is it that Spanish nature of circuit? Because we know sometimes Catalunya doesn't always lend itself to great racing. Is Aragon going to be the same, which we are going to in, I believe, oh, we're not going to Aragon here, in another series in a couple of weeks' time. Is it that Spanish nature of circuit that can sometimes produce racing but not great racing that we can see at other circuits?
Well, it's certainly going to be a track that I think is going to deliver some good racing. I've raced around here a couple of times, not in the SR10 but in multiple different cars, and especially taking the Dallara, I think it's the Dallara IR3, I think it is. It's the Formula 3 car, I think it's meant to be. But that round here there was some fantastic racing going on with that on the officials. So I seem to, every time I come onto this track, it is really enjoyable, but it is one of those tracks where it kind of leads you into a bit of false comfort, really, because you'll be sitting there cruising along at these fast-paced corners as you see these two cars going around there at the moment. And well, coming up into the dry sack turn number 6, which they're heading towards now. This one is one of the challenging turns because it's a very sharp right-hander, and well, if you misjudge the braking point going into it, that could really affect obviously your speed going around the turn, then your exit speed coming out, because then you instantly piled on with more corners, and well, it gets very action-packed at this point of the track. And before we hit the Ayrton Senna chicane, and that's where things will get a bit hairy, as you just saw then. So there's a couple of corners that will definitely try and keep you awake, but the rest of the track, I feel like some of these drivers may lose their concentration a little bit. I mean, I don't know any of these drivers myself, so it'll be rude of me to assume that they'd all bottle it on the first lap, but I definitely think that some of these drivers might get caught out by some of the corners, and maybe, who knows, maybe we'll see some attacks in the wrong places tonight. I think this is going to be interesting because this is my first time actually being in the booth at this track, or this combination of track and car. So from what I've seen before, people do get a bit of that, you know, insecurity level with the track, and there are parts that catch them off guard, and well, some corners do have a slight bit of camber, and some cars can pick it up, some can't. So it'll be interesting to see what these guys can do, especially on the first couple of laps, see where people are pushing for the overtakes, because I know where I'd be doing it. But it'll be good to see where these drivers are really starting to claw their time back and push for their position.
Yeah, we have just gone into qualifying here as well. It's interesting to see Robert Woodward on track. He's only just bought the circuit, literally 15 minutes ago, and bought it down. Colin Wynn, Jerez is put in YouTube chat. Thanks so much for that one, Colin. You know, I love you when you come in every week and call us something new, so thank you so much for that one. Normally it's hello ladies or good evening. Have we actually seen a gentleman or anything lately, Colin? I'm not entirely sure we have, but we have gone into qualifying. So let's see how these guys get on here as well. David Beasley, Paul LeMay, Simon Edwards, Darrell Taylor, Luke Maxwell, Phil Glover, Michael LeMay, Colin Wynn, David Rolliston, Paul Godden and Robert Woodward. We are going to be probably seeing an interesting battle between Luke Maxwell and Simon Edwards. Of course, these guys are fighting it out in the championship. Now, one of the interesting things about that is obviously Luke Maxwell isn't going to be here for every race, which is a little bit of a shame from our point of view, because he is an exceptionally quick driver. He's sitting in 4th place at the moment on 145. And, you know, he's got the opportunity to go and make a dent with the likes of John McHutchinson, who's not here this evening as well. Neither is Mike Bousson. So from his point of view, from Luke Maxwell's point of view, he's got the opportunity to move up here. And another man that's got a great opportunity is Simon Edwards. He can take the lead of the championship as well. So that's going to be an interesting one to watch once more. And it's going to be an interesting battle here as these guys are out all on their pace laps currently at the moment. You mentioned overtakes earlier on here, Callum. Where would you be looking at making overtakes here on this tricky circuit?
Now, for me, obviously, the home straight across the start-finish line is obviously a very good point. There's a lot of stretch there to make your overtakes, but between turn 4 and 5 as well, there's a very short mini straight there, leading into a fairly quick right-hander, which is turn 5, which is Cito Ponds. So around there, you could carry a bit extra momentum, either leading in around the outside of the corner, or maybe even try and get the inside on your opponent and get the overtake done in turn 5, because as long as your exit speeds up, you've then got that long straight between turn 5 and 6. And then, in my opinion, the last chance to really get an overtake is the very short straight just before the hairpin to bring you back on the start-finish again. So 2 or 3 straights, and I'd argue maybe 1 or 2 corners to make moves here, but I'd certainly be looking at doing it in these cars on the faster areas of the circuit, not the slower corners.
Yeah, see, that's where the issue lies, I think, obviously being your first one here. These guys generally do have an interesting knack of overtaking anywhere. If there's a gap and there's a car and there's respectful racing, which we generally do see here from the Radical Race Series drivers, you will see them having a go. Okay, so at the end of the day, as much as I'd love to say it's going to be down into turn 6 and down into turn 1 and possibly round from 7, 8 into 9, I can guarantee it's probably going to be anywhere on the circuit. They have come through the chicane at the top. He's going to go round the left-hander of turn 13 before we go into the right-hander for turn 1. So Simon Edwards is going to go across the line purple at the moment with green on the board. Is he going to set the benchmark time for everybody else here this evening? He has done 1:36.76. So let's see whether or not that can be challenged. Paul Godden, Darrell Taylor, David Beasley, Robert Woodward. Maxwell goes into second for ITGL Racing there. Robert Woodward sets the time, sitting in 9th place at the moment on a 1:42, about 5 seconds off the pace. Colin Wynn on a 1:39 for the Moving Matters, and we've got the likes of George Gonzaga, who's just about to come over the line and set a time as well. What is George going to do here? Michael LeMay into 4th. Gonzaga goes into to 4th place. What about Seth Brown? How is Seth going to get on here as he looms round the last corner? Well, you can recognise Seth quite comfortably at the moment in his bright green livery here as well. What is Brown going to do as he goes over the line here as well? What sort of time is he going to be? 3rd on the board on a 1:37.322. Stellar start for some of these drivers. Better start for Luke Maxwell and Simon Edwards here, Callum. Not bad to get on pole position here.
Yeah, not bad at all. And, well, what a time we have at the minute at the top as well. There's many temps between P1 and P2, so there's a bit of clean air between those two cars there. But it'll be interesting to see what these guys can do from the line. Who's going to get the boost, shall we say, off the start and take the better line through turns 1. But as it stands at the minute, Edwards has a nice lead at the top of the table there, but Maxwell has got a bit of fighting to do to try and claw back some time, but he's got to do extra hard now because Edwards has just gone for a 1:36.3, so he's gone even quicker as it stands. So it's going to be a really difficult job to claw that back, but Maxwell's just done a 1:36.9 with LeMay doing a 1:36.6. So things are getting a little closer now, so I could be eating my words already.
Colin Wynn goes into 6th on a 1:38.181. Brown's improving, Gonzaga not so much, so let's pick up on Seth Brown. What is he going to be able to do as we've got 4 minutes remaining here of qualifying before we start this sprint race of 9 laps. Okay, so we've got 9 laps of this tricky circuit here as well. Brown has got greens in sector 1, 2, 3. Is he going to make it full green? He's not, but I think it's going to be an improvement. How much is he improved? 1:37.095. Paul Godden's starting to get grips with the circuit as well. He's going green in sectors 1 and 2. Luke Maxwell's not improving. Edwards got a purple, but that could be cancelled out by the 2 yellows on your screen as well. Luke Maxwell with a green and a yellow and another green here once more. So Maxwell absolutely flying. He's at about the same part of the circuit as Paul Godden is currently. Godden from one of our sponsors here this evening at Sim Stickers, so go check them out as well at simstickers.co.uk. Also iLounge Racing, iLoungeRacing.co.uk, and HPE Automotive, www.hpeauto.co.uk. So big shout out to them guys for sponsoring this season's league, I should say, as they go. Paul Godden goes over the line. Maxwell stays in 2nd, 1:36.4. Godden on a 1:37.9. So they do only have 3 allotted laps. So let's see how some of these get on here as well. Tricky at the moment. You can see it generally currently on track here as well. You know, the chicane at the end adds to more trickiness going forward as well. It's going to be a tough night for some of these guys.
Yeah, as you said, the Ayrton Senna chicane there, turns 11 to 13. That's not going to be an easy part of the circuit. We've seen a couple of these radicals already spin up the back end, so you've really got to be on it when it comes to putting the power down, and especially through those slower, tighter corners. It will be interesting when these guys get into the race, you know, if there's any side-by-side battles going on, or they're pushing for different people for their positions. It's going to be tense and tricky stuff, so you've got to make sure you don't get a bit too eager on the accelerator and put it down a bit too early and end up spinning those back wheels up. So it's going to be interesting thing to keep an eye on, I think, in this race. And well, we've just got to hope that things go fairly smoothly for these drivers, because some of them haven't had the smoothest of rides so far.
Damien G currently out on track as well. He's nearly coming to the end of his allotted 3 laps. Let's see what G can do, as he's currently sitting in 11th place. Horrid circuit. I've got do you know what, Colin, right? And I do feel for you. It must be a Spanish theme of circuits, because Catalonia can be at times dreadful, but I don't know. I just can't get to grips. This Jerez circuit reminds me of the one we have in France in iRacing as well, and that is Paul Ricard, I believe it is. We've got, haven't we, currently, if I'm not mistaken? Yeah, it reminds me of Paul Ricard. I don't like that either. I don't like that circuit, and it's not a circuit that I enjoy watching cars on. I've got to be honest. am really struggling to see the appeal of this circuit. I just, maybe I'm looking at it in the wrong way. I don't know, but yeah, we'll have to see. All the cars have come to the end of their allotted 3 laps of qualifying. We'll be able to bring you up the results very, very shortly. But yeah, Colin, I kind of agree with you. I don't like it. It's just not my cup of tea, and yeah, it does remind me of Paul Ricard. I don't like Paul Ricard either, to be honest.
I have to admit, I do quite enjoy this track, actually. I'm going to play devil's advocate here, but I really do enjoy this track, and Paul Ricard as well. I quite like that one. So I think if I put a bit more time into Jerez, I'd actually enjoy it a lot more. But the minimal time I've had, at the minute, I just enjoy it. But yeah, I have to admit, it's definitely up there in tracks for me.
No, I'm just not a lover. I'm not a lover whatsoever, I've got to be honest. Is it actually Paul Ricard we've got? Because I can't actually find that track. What is it called? What's it? Magny Core. It's not Paul Ricard, it's Magny Core I don't like. Right, let's bring you up the grid here as well for this race. It is Simon Edwards in first, Luke Maxwell second, Seth Brown third, Paul LeMay fourth, George Gonzaga in fifth, Michael LeMay sixth, David Rolliston seventh, Wayne Palmer, Paul Godden, Colin Wynn, Damien G and David Beasley round out the top 12. And then behind that we've got Darrell Taylor, Phil Glover and Robert Woodward here ready to go. So let's keep an eye on this one and see how we get on. But yeah, I agree with Colin Wynn. I do not like this circuit. We're coming underway. 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights. And we are green, green, green. Look at Seth Brown. He got off the line like an absolute rocket. He jumps Luke Maxwell as well. Paul LeMay almost gets up beside Maxwell there as well. Maxwell had a poor start. David Rolliston up 1 has jumped Wayne Palmer. Colin Wynn also up 2 places. For a man that doesn't like the circuit, he's doing rather well at this moment in time here as well. There was almost contact with Palmer. Michael LeMay going side by side with David Rolliston. But Luke Maxwell all the way down into third place currently with Seth Brown and Simon Edwards out in front. Everybody got away cleanly at this moment in time, Callum. Not a bad start for them all.
No, not a bad start at all. And I think it's the cleanest start to any race I think I've ever seen. Fantastic stuff from all these radicals. They got off the line so quickly and quietly as well, I want to say. No wheel spin, you know, no tantrums from any cars at all. They all got off the line nice and easily, and they're trying to go side by side into this, well, majority of this first lap already. So great action from the radicals so far. I'm thoroughly enjoying this.
Yeah, Simon Edwards out in front with Seth Brown, Luke Maxwell and Paul LeMay, David Rolliston, Michael LeMay there as well. Damien G having a nice little fight and a tussle with Darrell Taylor coming into the right-hander of turn 9. Oh, David Beasley onto the gravel at turn 9, unfortunately for him, but it's the first time through the chicane, and it's still Simon Edwards, Luke Maxwell, Paul LeMay and David Rolliston. And we've got about a second gap to George Gonzaga, who is being chased down by Colin Wynn, who put in chat, I'm going to spin right round, baby, right round, like a radial light, right round. At the moment, doing a stellar job, down up 2 places from where he started, and sitting behind George Gonzaga currently here as well. So Seth Brown under attack from Luke Maxwell as we finish off the first lap, on to lap 2. Stellar start. Some great driving from some of these drivers already.
Yeah, it certainly is. And well, what a quick time we have from Edwards already. 1 minute 44 off the opening lap, and well, that's nearly a second clear from P2 on what they done for their opening lap. So great timings there for Edwards, and he's going to try and capitalise on this and push that gap as big as he possibly can make it to the chasing cars of Brown and Maxwell, who are just over a second behind the leader as it stands. So they are going to have to really get their pedal down to get close. And well, we've got 1 car off at the minute. That's Wayne Palmer, who's just lost a position there to Beasley and is about to lose another position to Taylor. There goes Taylor through, and Palmer rejoins nice and safely. See what happened here then.
It's Darrell Taylor. This is Taylor's going around turn 13. I think he's going to, yeah, he's just lost the car and it goes round all on his own, unfortunately for him. So Taylor in turn 13. spins the wheels up and around he goes here as well. But it is still Woodward battling it out with Win, and we've still got Maxwell trying to chase down Brown, losing a little bit of position time over him at the moment, with Paul LeMay tucked up right behind him as well. So LeMay closing him down like an absolute lion. Welcome in, my Buson. Where are you this evening, young sir? I see you in YouTube chat there. Why are you not on track currently at this moment in time? But we got both of the Paul Godden and Robert Woodward. As I say, Woodward bought the track literally 10 minutes before. He's doing an absolutely stellar job already.
Yeah, not bad at all, considering he just bought the track. Fantastic stuff, you know, nice and clean as well. And like we were talking about in the green room just before the broadcast, you know, they're all in the points. So that's the main thing that matters tonight, is they're all guaranteed to get something out of these racing sessions here. So it'll be interesting to see how far these guys can push it, as Paul Godden's going to go around on the outside now. Doesn't get the move done on Woodward, but he's only a couple of tenths behind now, so he's going to try and push the attack once again. Goes for the inside line, no, sits back again once behind the bright pink car there, and well, he's going to try and get the run. Drifted a bit wide and is going to lose a little bit of time now, I think. A little bit of momentum to the car ahead, but let's see if he can gain it back again. The braking zone, he does get a little closer. He's just got to try and hold it now to try and keep that pressure on.
Yeah, he is. Godden is fighting over Woodward. Good evening, John McCutchinson. I hope you are well. Where are you again this evening as well? Are you getting ready for Spa 24, John? Is that why we're not seeing you here on track? Michael LeMay has unfortunately had an incident. He's still up and running, but I've got a funny feeling here for Michael LeMay. He's done this all on his own, and that is going down into the right-hander of turn 6. He runs in too deep, spins the car up, and around he goes. Gets up underway, going once more, and a stellar job from him. Seth Brown has got this man right behind him, Luke Maxwell. Paul Godden has got Robert Woodward right beside him, as these guys coming down into 13 now. Round the left-hander they go. Second gear there, you can see it on Paul's dash on the left-hand side. Chasing down the start-finish straight to Robert Woodward. Is the draft going to pull him in? Is he going to get in there into turn 1? He's not going to be able to do it this time around, Callum. He's going to have to settle it once more.
He certainly is, but Woodward's car just got a little bit slippery there on turn 1, so it'll be interesting to see if he can keep a hold of that car, or if the pressure gets to him, with Paul Godden all over his mirrors at the minute. Yeah, there is a little gap. Oh, things getting a bit squirrely. Bit of an off track there. Godden keeps it though, and keeps going, and well, he's going to try and keep the pressure on, but now there's a 5 to 6 tenth gap between two cars, so he's going to have to do immensely well to try and keep this battle going.
Yeah, it definitely is here, and back up front we go to Seth Brown, who has got currently Luke Maxwell right behind him. Is on his way round turn 8 into the left-hander of 9. We've seen Godden go off track, but Brown and Maxwell fight it out. Seth Brown has done an absolute stellar job over the last few weeks of getting this car hooked up. He's back in his SR10, and he's doing an absolute amazing job there as well. So big shout out to Seth Brown, but it is Simon Edwards still out in front. Further down the order, we've still got Godden, who is tucked up right behind Woodward at this moment in time as well. They're going into the chicane, almost nose to tail here. Woodward in the pink, Godden in the white, red and grey Sim Stickers car here this evening on that run down into 13. Godden's going to look up the inside, nothing doing there. Can he put pressure this time on the way down into turn 1 here, Callum?
Well, yeah, surely it's going to happen in the next couple of corners. He was 6 or so tenths behind that car. He's halved that distance now. So surely the attack, or the move that is pending, is going to show itself and reveal itself to the world in the next couple of corners, because these guys are getting ever so close now, and Godden really does need to try and get this move done. If he feels he's quicker, he needs to get round that radical and start pushing on to higher things, and well, try and catch P8 as well. So he needs to get this move done sooner rather than later.
Yeah, he definitely is. He's on a 138.97 for Robert Woodward, 138.85 for Paul Godden. So he did pull out a 10th. He sticks his nose up on the it shows that to Robert Woodward, nothing doing round turn 6 currently here. Currently they're still nose to tail. Woodward in the pink, as I've said. Godden behind him, the Sim Stickers livery as well. Please go and check them out, simstickers.co.uk. Big shout out to them guys. is here, and once more they're still going at it here on this tricky circuit in Spain. Round turn 9 they go. Double right-hander into turn 10. They're not going to have much time to get it hooked up. They go straight in once more with Paul Godden, and that is currently how close he is. He's coming into the chicane again. Round through the chicane, right, left. He sticks with Robert Woodward over the curb. He takes a little bit of curb on the exit on that run down into 13. Where is he going to be able to make this stick though, Callum? Because he gets really close like he has done, and then he seems to drift back a little bit, not massive, couple of attempts, but he just can't get that run out of that final corner to get Woodward down into turn 1.
No, I'm thinking we're going to see this move happen between turns 4 and 5. Just like I said, one of the overtaken zones are, and that is that quick right-hander leading down to Dry Sack. So it's going to be tense between these two, and I think that's possibly where we're going to see the move, because they are coming up to said corner now. It's the next right-hander that we're going to be talking about here. So here we go, coming up to the slightly higher speed turn around this track, and if he can get a better exit, then he might be able to get the draft all the way down the straight and the overtake, but it doesn't look like he's going to have that. And he's slightly pulled out of the draft early doors there, so he's going to tuck back in, but maybe my prediction was way off. We might have to wait another lap or two, but there's not many laps left to go, so it needs to really get this move done as soon as possible.
Yeah, he definitely does, and so does Maxwell. Needs to get it done over Brown. Taylor, unfortunately, has been off circuit. Rolliston has another one here as well. What has David Rolliston been doing to himself on that run down into turn 6? Has he done the same as Michael LeMay? Yes, near enough at exactly the same point. So David Rolliston doing that now. Paul Glover is still behind Robert Woodward. He still cannot get through. He's throwing everything at Woodward currently at the moment, and he's still not making it through here, and still can't overtake that car from the Racing Pointless car in front of him. Luke Maxwell still behind Brown. Again, another one who can't get through here, Eve, as well. John McHutchison, I gets to finalise for Team Radline Spa Attack. Well, good luck for this weekend, sir. Hope it goes well for you. Maxwell's going to try and slip up the inside of Brown on that run down into turn 5. Brown's on the outside. Is he going to send it out the inside round the turn 5? He's not currently at the moment. He did lose a position. That's where he got it done. Maybe you just predicted the right corner, Callum, but possibly the wrong battle.
Yeah, possibly the wrong battle indeed, but it looks like Brown, well, he had a look up the inside, didn't go for it though. The cars weren't exactly close enough to initiate that side-by-side entry into Dry Sack there, but they both come around as they were at the start of that straight. Maxwell is leading in P2 there to Mr. Brown. LeMay's coming up in the background though, and he's closing that gap, so this could end up being a 3-car battle towards the very end of this race, which will be very interesting indeed, because that'll spice things up between those three, because they'll all be pushing at the same time, so there'll be a lot of pressure on those guys to keep everything all correct and in line. Godden's still 4/10 at the minute off of Woodward at the minute in that bright pink livery there, but Woodward's car's gone. It's gone. He's lost the back end, and then Paul Godden's capitalised and claimed that position. So just as I was saying how close they are, he's lost the back end of that vehicle.
Yeah, he has. Michael LeMay has passed. David Rolliston is chasing down with Gonzaga. Brown and Maxwell there as well. And unfortunately for Woodward, up in turn 9, he spun it. He did an absolutely stellar job of defending, and then unfortunately for him, just loses the back end in turn 9. Rollo LeMay and Gonzaga battling out. Then we got 8.5 seconds to Paul LeMay, who is chasing down the battle of Brown and Maxwell. Not very long to go now. We're on the penultimate lap before we get on to this final one, and it's Simon Edwards out in front, the man in the purple and pink machine, absolutely flying, sitting second in the championship currently at the moment, and he's on for a 25-point hole. That's going to help him out absolutely massively. Don't forget, we've still got a couple of drop weeks to be applied as well. These drivers do have 3 drop weeks, so that's going to be an exciting one to watch as we come in later on to see where everybody has settled down. But Maxwell, Brown and LeMay still going at it here, and Michael LeMay, Gonzaga and Rolliston is still fighting it out as well. So it could be an interesting last lap for them 2 groups of drivers.
It certainly could, and if Rolliston can get that time down, that turns into a pack of 3, so there'll be 2 packs of 3 in the top half of the table that are going to be close. And, well, if Palmer can pick up the pace a little bit as well, he's going to catch up to Glover, and that will bring up another close battle just before the end of the race 1 here. So this could be a very interesting finish, like you've mentioned already, James. And, well, LeMay's really got to try and get his foot down with 1 lap to go now on this last lap. This is it. This is what it comes down to. If he wants the points, he needs to get past that radical.
He definitely does. Michael LeMay, Gonzaga and Rolliston fighting out for 5th, 6th and 7th place. Brown trying to get back up to Maxwell. He's losing time at the moment with Paul LeMay behind him. Wayne Palmer and Phil Glover scrapping it out here as well. Both gentlemen unfortunately had their own little incidents, and Phil Glover has done this all on his own here, and unfortunately for Glover, who is behind Woodward, has done this issue. So Glover does go round turn 13, locks up the wheels, and around he goes. But back to the battles on track. They're still nose to tail. Oh, Glover's gone. Glover gone, unfortunately for him, in turn 6. So not a great evening of racing for Glover, as he's just about to lose a place, I think, to Darrell Taylor, who's trying to go around the outside of him here, and Taylor does make it through. A stellar job from him. Brown with LeMay catching up very, very quickly. I don't know if Paul LeMay is going to have enough time to go past Brown as he's coming into the final few corners here, that the man up front, Simon Edwards, is going to take the win. He is out in front. He's coming around the final corner, and Edwards will take that win with Maxwell behind him. Don't forget, top 10 reverse coming up as well. So Luke Maxwell and Simon Edwards. Brown does manage to hang on in front of Paul LeMay. So a stellar job from him. Michael LeMay did not get George Gonzaga. Gonzaga was in 5th place with Rollo in 7th. So another great effort there from David Rolliston. Colin Wynn up 2 places into 8th here with Paul Godden behind him, Damien G, Robert Woodward and Wayne Palmer. And the last person to finish will be Phil Glover. So that's not a bad opening race at all here, Callum. You know, 9 laps, great racing.
Yeah, a short race, a smaller size grid, and actually, to be fair, we've had a good amount of action straight away. Nice, clean racing, and just like you said, very respectful as well. There was a good amount of space being given to each racer out there, and nothing getting too hairy. The spins we did have, unfortunately, were down to just individual drivers that, you know, they weren't being caused by other people. So it's just unfortunate with some of the spins, but yeah, fantastic race what we've had so far.
Yeah, Simon Edwards was your winner by 2.3 seconds over Luke Maxwell, who had a race-long battle with Seth Brown. Paul LeMay in 4th. Brown did get 3rd. Gonzaga got 5th. Michael LeMay 6th. David Rolliston 7th. Colin Wynn 8th. Paul Godden 9th. And Damien G in 10th. Robert Woodward in 11th. Wayne Palmer 12th. Darrell Taylor, who had issues. Palmer had issues. Woodward had issues as well. Glover, we saw, had issues, and David Beasley all at the same time have had problems around turn 9 and turn 6. Turn 6 seems to be the place here, and that will be rounding out this race as well. We have got a brief little short couple of minute warm up here, so we are down into the final minute. But don't forget, guys, like, subscribe, turn on the bells. That would be absolutely amazing. And check out our sponsors, iLounge Racing, Sim Stickers and HPE Automotive. All links down in the description below. You will not be disappointed there as well. So thank you so much for joining us, and looking forward to now the 15 lap feature top 10 reverse grid. So that will put Damien G on pole. Now, any reverse grid's exciting, but this one could be absolutely epic.
Yeah, whenever you hear the word reverse grid, you know, you're always looking forward to seeing the guys that finish at the top start towards the rear of the pack and try and work their way back up the grid again. That's going to be very entertaining to watch indeed. So really looking forward to that. And with the respectful racing we saw in race 1, it'll be very interesting to see how they go about their overtakes here in the second race. And from what I remember, James, you told me it's slightly longer as well, so we're treated to a bit longer. Or a bit more of the beautiful radicals racing around this wonderful circuit.
I think there's a few drivers that might not agree with you on the wonderful side of things, sir. Not going to lie. So let's see what happens here and how this all pans out for this race. Here is the grid for race 2. Damien G on pole, Paul Godden in second, Colin Wynn third, David Rolliston fourth, Michael LeMay fifth, George Gonzaga in 6th, Paul LeMay, Seth Brown, Luke Maxwell, Simon Edwards rounds out your top 10. Then you've got Robert Woodward, Wayne Palmer, Darrell Taylor, Phil Glover and David Beasley. So get ready for this one as Damien G from Rad Sports Sim Racing will be leading us off here once more. Once we get up and running, we are just waiting for Luke Maxwell, who is on track now, so the lights are going to be coming on very, very shortly. Stay tuned for this one. 15 laps of Jerez, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights. And we are green, green, green. Damien G got off the line, but Paul Godden, oh, massive crash at the back. Wayne Palmer, Phil Glover, and that was Michael LeMay getting off, didn't even get off the line there. And unfortunately, Seth Brown is off as well. Seth Brown's off with Paul LeMay. There's incidents all the way through the field as these guys have gone off, and we've lost multiple drivers already. Seth Brown, Michael LeMay, Phil Glover, Wayne Palmer, and Paul LeMay all off on the side of the circuit. We'll have a look back at how that one started, but we've got Damien G, Paul Godden, Colin Wynn, Simon Edwards is already up 4 places into 6th. Luke Maxwell's behind him in 7th here, Callum, but boy oh boy, there was a few drivers who suffered at the start there.
Yeah, what an interesting start. What a difference as well it made from race 1. Completely different race starts there, and a huge collision wiping out almost, I'd say, half the pack, to be honest, in the first sort of little, maybe up to turn 1, turn 2. So yeah, a very hectic start for some of these drivers, but we still have a close pack from P1 to P7 at the minute. And well, you know, this race is a little longer, so those drivers might be able to come back, but it's not going to be easy with the pace of these guys around here tonight.
No, it definitely isn't. We've lost Seth Brown, we've lost Paul LeMay, we've lost Darrell Taylor. Paul's had another incident as well. Taylor's not had a good time, but Colin Wynn is having a good time. But the one man that is having a flyer is Damien G. He's out in front by 1.6 seconds with Colin Wynn, David Rolliston, Simon Edwards. Rollo's going up the inside of turn 13 over Colin Wynn. Colin, you left the door wide open. Wynn's going to get that run running outside. They're going to be side by side. Are we going to see 3 wide action? Wynn squeezing Rollo. Edwards is going to try and nip up the inside here of both of them. We're going to have 3 wide going into turn 1. Rollo comes through from the outside, does an absolutely stellar job. Colin Wynn and Simon Edwards still battling out now. Edwards goes up the inside of Wynn into turn 2. Is he going to be able to get the run through 3? He is. Simon Edwards now up into 3rd place, doing an absolutely amazing job with Luke Maxwell right behind him here as well. It's all gone off at the beginning. We'll have a look back at that one very, very shortly, and when it starts here with Michael LeMay.
Yeah, it starts from the standstill grid as the lights go out. LeMay gets the wheels spun up, and I think he just loses control on his own there, and it sends some of the cars trying to avoid him into each other as well, leading into turn 1. Seth Brown here goes to the inside line. Yeah, didn't look like he's going to make that turn at all, unfortunately, and ends up taking out someone else with him. So very unfortunate there as they both go headfirst into the wall. But the action is still there on track at the minute. Your leader's got 1.6 second gap at the minute. Maxwell's in the middle of a battle between sort of 5-6 cars, so he's got to try and keep his head on a swivel at the minute, both looking forward and behind at the same time as best as he possibly can to maintain that position. But the best form of defense is attack, so he needs to just try and get as close to those cars ahead as possible. And there is one of the cars ahead there, Mr. Simon Edwards, currently chasing down Rolliston, who's just in front there. And well, if he can do that, then it's try and hunt down the leader, which they are getting close to at the moment. So whether P2 and P3 try and work together to catch the leader, but back markers just come out in front of the leader. So I wonder if that will impede anyone's pace and slow things down a bit and possibly bunch up the top 3 or 4.
Yeah, Damien G here has got Seth Brown out in front of him currently at the moment. Rollo still holding up Edwards. From G's point of view, he needs Rollo and Edwards to battle. He needs him to battle, because if he doesn't, he may end up getting caught. Taylor has gone off track and has called it a day. Darrell Taylor is out at the moment, and this is what he's been up to here here, and it looks like he got caught up in that incident right at the beginning, I believe, where he may have already had damage. He looks like he's just been caved into. And was this with Seth Brown? No, it wasn't. Where are you, Mr. Taylor?
No,
he got caught off the line,
start.
didn't he? I got a funny feeling.
He clipped on the front left corner, I believe, of his car, or was it front right?
Oh!
No, yeah, it was front left. There we go. Front left, and that took off the front half of his car pretty much. And, well, that's probably affected that steering slightly as well.
Yeah, Taylor's out now as well. Paul Damien G could probably do with Seth Brown in a polite possible word here. Seth moving out the way. He's towing Damien G, which is probably helping him. But from G's point of view, he could probably do with Brown staying in front of him, because he can use Brown to get away from Rollo and Edwards on the straight here. So this could be an absolutely barnstorming move here. I don't know why I'm trying to look round Simon Edwards' car when I could just change cameras. He has just gone up the inside of Rolliston, and Rolliston is running him side by side round turn 2 here as well, and Luke Maxwell wants a piece of it. Maxwell 137.50 there, the fastest man on track currently at the moment, chasing down Simon Edwards. G's being chased down by Simon Edwards. G's chasing down Brown, and he can do with Brown either moving over or drafting him here as well. Luke Maxwell's going up the inside of Rollo through turn 5. He's going to look again at run out of turn 5 now on that long straight here. Can he make this move? They're side by side as they go under the bridge. Edwards is closing in on G. Maxwell's going to try and go up the inside of Rollo this time around, and it's job done for Luke Maxwell. He's going to set after Simon Edwards now, and that could do Damien G a massive favour here, Callum.
Yeah, that certainly could do, as that's knocked Rolliston down another position, but Maxwell now has a bit of time to claw back. He's just got over a second, and just as I say, that's now gone to just under a second. But yeah, he's got to try and claw that time back as soon as possible. We do have a little longer in this race to go though, so the pressure's not fully on just yet, but Edwards is putting the pressure on massively to the race leader at the minute of G, just out in top on top there, who's obviously got the back marker of Brown just ahead, but his main focus at the minute is going to be defending, trying to keep this lead, but that's bringing Maxwell into the battle, because now the gap is only 6/10 between P2 and P3, so this could well turn into a 3, maybe even 5 car battle of those two, just a bit behind of Rolliston and Gonzaga catch up a little bit more. This could go to a 5-way battle for the lead.
Oh, G's made a mistake. There's contact between Edwards and G. That's allowed Maxwell through. G's come back on the circuit. There was contact between Edwards and G there, and unfortunately these guys round turn 2 have made contact, and that is a huge, because that's allowed Luke Maxwell to get out in front. Gonzaga's now with G. Rolliston went through as well. Rollo jumped G and has taken that 3rd place away, and G has gone from 1st to 4th in a matter of corners, and they got hooked up together and they just went off track at the same time. There was no one able to turn in, and unfortunately for Damien G, he's lost another position to Gonzaga here as well. Is he going to be trying to look up the inside? He's not. We've got the fastest lap on the race by Paul LeMay on a 1:37.065 at the moment, so he's absolutely flying along, but unfortunately he's down all the way down in 13th place. But Simon Edwards has lost 1.7 seconds to Maxwell and is doing a stellar job. Robert Woodward was catching Colin Wynn, but unfortunately he's just locked up going round, currently down into turn 9, and has lost a little bit of time behind him. But poor old Damien G there goes from 1st all the way down into 5th after 1 corner.
Yeah, devastating there from G. A slight slip up, but it shows you how costly slip ups are in these cars. You know, one slight error, as we just saw, and you can lose so much from all the way up from the top down to P5. It's not a nice feeling at all, and well, fingers crossed you can get a bit of a recovery drive back on and try and claw back onto the podium, but it's going to be a tough drive from here on out if he wants to do that.
Definitely is going to be now. So let's see how this works out for Gonzaga. Can he chase down Rollo? Can he get past him? Can he get that that third place away from Rollo? This is one of the closest battles on track at the moment here. Let's have a look. On board with George Gonzaga. He goes down into turn 6 at the moment here. The right-hander, the base of the hill. He takes a very wide line. He opens the corner up, takes a late apex. Through he goes in second gear on that run down. Through now turn 7. The left-hander of 7 through to the left-hander of 8. And he's going to go on it again here in 4th. He changes down 1, gets to run out, and off he goes once more. Not really closing up on Rollo. Rollo's not really closing up on Edwards. And unfortunately for Luke Maxwell, he's now got Seth Brown in front of him. And I'm sure Seth Brown will try and not impede Luke Maxwell and will try and get out the way here, I'm hoping, for him as well. So yeah, an absolutely stellar job. Maxwell capitalised on incidents, and that was it. He was out and gone.
Yeah, speaking of an incident, Rolliston has just spun it up on the chicane there. And, well, here he comes into the Ayrton Senna chicane in a couple of seconds now. Here we go. So, yeah, it goes in a bit hot and gets stuck on the curb there. Oh. Contact between the two cars, but they both get going again. And Rolliston holds that P3 for now. How long can he do it? Is that damage a bit worse than what it looks like? And, well, it looks like it is, because he's made his way down to P7 now. And Mr. Wynn is up on the final step of the podium in P3.
Yeah, it's Colin Wynn, Gonzaga and Rollo both in the pits. Wynn's being chased down by G. The pole man from race 2 is chasing down Colin Wynn. He's running up right behind him at the moment. Glover has just passed LeMay, I believe. No, Phil Glover got past Gonzaga. Michael LeMay passed Gonzaga as well. And Gonzaga's all the way down into 10th now here again. But Colin Wynn doing an absolutely stellar job. Luke Maxwell's crashed. Oh, Luke Maxwell's crashed. What did he do? Down into turn 1, he spun the car up. And around he's gone for Luke Maxwell. That's released Simon Edwards out in front, and he's capitalised on it by about 6.5 seconds here. Phil Glover has just lost a place to Michael LeMay, and Damien G still fighting out with Robert Woodward, but that for Maxwell is massive.
That is indeed, and well, what a capitalisation there from Mr. Edwards, who's now leading the race by 6.3 seconds, a mighty lead. But at the minute, it seems like no one can get past the back marker of Brown. No one, anyone has got close, but no one has actually made it past the back marker yet. So it'll be interesting to see if Edwards can do that, because if he can, then he will keep his long lead intact, I imagine. As it stands at the moment, still 6.3 seconds. So if he wants to keep that around there, he needs to try and make quick work of Brown as soon as possible, really.
Brown is there just up the road currently, 1 lap down. He's got Edwards behind him on that run down into turn 5. Edwards is going to use him for the draft down through 6, and I'm expecting Brown to maybe take a shimmy out the way here. He does. He moves over, slight little lift, allowing Edwards to go through. No problems there either. But from Gonzaga and Michael LeMay, they're running side by side round turn 2, the right-hander, before they jink to the left for 3, and then on that run down into the left-hander of 4 here, and these guys are doing once more an absolutely stellar job. Gonzaga down in 9th after his incident with David Rolliston at turn 11. Colin Wynn, you're still hanging on to the final podium place. The man who thought he was going to spin is sitting 3rd in the table at the moment. Go Colin Wynn, stellar job from him.
Well, if he can come home in this position, he will be ecstatic after, obviously, the messages that we saw earlier in the chat in the YouTube broadcast there. So he will be not spinning the Radical around, but he'll be spinning that champagne bottle around on the bottom step of the podium. And, well, what a podium race it would be for Mr. Wynn as well, if he can hold off these cars that are behind. There's a good few cars there, and not easy cars to hold behind him either, just from what I've seen so far tonight. G, Woodward and Godden, they can all battle very hard, and, well, it's not going to be an easy job to keep those guys behind at all. So Wynn just needs to try and keep his head in the game and focus and maintain his advantage over this group.
Yeah, he definitely is there as well. Robert Woodward has just made light work of Damien G. Robert Woodward running around the outside here currently as well. G's on the inside of turn 4 on that run through into 5. Still doing his stellar job, still side by side at the moment. Robert Woodward and Damien G still battling it out. They're still running side by side. Down into turn 6 here. It's going to be a drag race. G pulls out on the left-hand side there for Rad Sports Sim Racing against the Racing Pointless Robert Woodward. G makes it through. Godden's going to make it through as well. Is he going to try and get around the outside of Robert Woodward now on that run up through 7 and 8? They're battling it out side by side currently at the moment. And Robert Woodward holds on to that position in front of David G. Gets it back there as well. They changed positions no fewer than 5 times over that last little section of racetrack. So an absolute stellar race from them guys, doing an absolutely amazing job down in 4th, 5th and 6th. All the while though, this is giving Colin Wynn a bit of a breather. He is now up the road by 2.9 seconds. Can he hang on to 3rd here, Callum, as we go into the last 5 laps?
Well, I'm certainly going to put my money on it, and well, I'm backing Wynn now for the podium position, so I have full expectations that he'll come away with this P3, and if he can just maintain that time he has, then everything should be golden leading into these last 5. And well, what a job, by the way, these 3 cars have done, especially Woodward, to get those positions back as well, when these cars were almost going 3 wide at multiple times throughout the last couple of laps. He's managed to maintain that and come out on top as well, so great to see from himself there. As they come around now into turn 5 down the long straight. This is where we could see a bit of movement in the standings. Can Damien G capitalise and get in front of the Racing Pointless car there? And all the back end gets a bit slidey coming out of turn 5, but it doesn't look like any moves are going to happen just yet. The cars are still equidistant at the minute between each other, so I think it's just going to come down to trying to capitalise on a mistake potentially, because their pace is all very similar.
Yeah, it definitely is. G last time out 141.04, Woodward on a 140.5, so it was a little bit quicker than Damien G. Looks like G's losing a little bit of time now as well. Paul Godden is going to try and make the most of this one. Is Godden going to be able to run around the outside of 10? He's not. What about into 11? Is he going to be able to do it there? He's not. It's going to be the run down the start finish straight if it's going to be anywhere for him to have a go at Damien G. They come hopping over the exit of the chicane, run that run around turn 12 down into the hairpin of 13. G pulls out, lets Godden know he's going on a defensive. Godden doesn't even try it. This is it. Can he get this down now into turn 1? Can Godden latch on to the back? The time's coming down. It's 3 tenths. It's almost 2 tenths. We are into the 2 tenth section. Is he going to get him? He's not going to get him this time around, Colin. And once more, Paul Godden is just sitting behind the 2 of them.
Yeah, but Paul Godden, if he bides his time well over the next couple of laps, if he can get close enough, he might be able to take both cars in one manoeuvre. If he plays his cards right, it's going to be a tricky hand to play, but he could potentially do it, because if these guys make any little slip-ups like that, as we just saw in the car of P5 there, Mr. G, you know, if he goes off track slightly, gets his wheels on the gravel, that's obviously going to take away from that momentum. As you can see, the gap is closing right up again, within almost well, we're within 2 tenths of maintaining that whole straight really between these 2 cars at the moment. Battle for P4 this is as it stands, and well, Woodward is slowly pulling away, so Godden needs to get this move done if he wants to keep pushing up, and needs to get it done as soon as possible. But again, I kind of still stand by my point. If he bides his time maybe for a lap or 2, gets really close, he can make the move easily without impeding or changing his lines.
Yeah, he's definitely going to have a good old go over Damien G. Simon Edwards is going to come round now and start the 12th lap of this race into turn 11. Once more we go from Paul Godden, still not making it through, over Damien G. George Gonzaga and Michael LeMay have had an interesting battle. They've swapped places no fewer than about 7 times I'm reading back currently at the moment. So they've had a good backwards and forwards ding-dong here, Gonzaga and LeMay. LeMay from Two Brothers Racing, Gonzaga tucked up right behind him. And normally he's called Insert Name Here Racing, if I'm not mistaken. If you have a look on the side pods and rear wing of George Gonzaga there is advertising space if anybody wants to put their name on the side of the car. Hit George up and he will discuss it with you as well. But he's closing up right now on the back to Michael LeMay. LeMay's got the inside line. He comes out. Gonzaga tries the wider line into turn one. He's closing now. He's closing. Is he going to be able to run around the outside of two? He's not. He's going to take that wide line once more. Goes onto the gas early. Straightens that car up now, coming out of turn three. Round turn four we go. Gonzaga's looking up the inside. He's not going to be able to make it through this time. Round four into turn five. Now we go down into this long straightaway. Gonzaga's just got to get a stellar exit and then he's going to be there. He needs about 2 tenths, I feel, to be able to get this. Michael LeMay weaving across the track there like my grandmother knitting jumpers at the moment as well, but he does manage to hold on down into turn six. No way through from Gonzaga once more, and he's just got to sit there once again.
Yeah, he certainly has, and well, this is one of the closest battles out there on track at the minute. There's only one other one closer, and that's Godden and G, but at the minute George is doing a very good job, and he just needs to try and keep that car a little bit closer if he can, and he could potentially pounce on the last couple of laps, which will give LeMay no choice but to settle for the P9 role, because if George can make that move, well, as late as possible now, really, because this is the main position that he's fighting for. It's unlikely they'll catch up to Beasley in P7, but this is what those two are now fighting for. So if he can do the move last second, that gives LeMay no chance to fight back. So that'll be the ideal situation. But he's done well to hold the radical there in the final turn as they come up, and the gap is getting a little bigger now, nearly 6 tenths between the two. So he just needs to get his head back in the game, get those rhythms going, and make sure he's hitting every braking point that he possibly can. Focusing on apexes and exits, as a lot of people, spotters, would be saying right now. So that's what he's got to focus on, and if he can nail that, then he could get the position.
Yeah, he definitely could. Wayne Palmer is chasing down Paul Glover. This is down for 12th and 13th. They were within about 2 tenths of each other at one point, but Palmer, of course, got caught up with that Glover, Michael LeMay and Taylor incident right at the beginning. Michael LeMay spun it up, put it into the wall, cut back on track, clipped Taylor. Taylor lost his front end. Then Palmer and Glover was involved as well, so it all got a little bit scrappy. Back into the G and Godden situation. Godden has closed right up to the back of Damien G now as we're coming round. Your leader's coming round to start the penultimate lap here for lap 14 before we go on to that final one. Wayne Palmer has jumped Phil Glover, which is always typical just as I come off him. Glover can't get back through though. He's having a good old go. Simon Edwards on a 1:36.872. Glover! Oh, Phil Glover there. Unfortunately got a little bit too close to Palmer, locked up the wheels on that way round turn 8, and unfortunately for him, he ended up in that gravel trap. That battle is done, and Wayne Palmer's going to hang on. What about G and Godden? Still going at it here, Callum.
Yeah, they certainly are, and I think this battle could be going right until the final whistle here tonight, as the car of Damien G comes around in P5 as it stands at the moment. The gap's a bit too large now to Woodward in front, so it is going to be the battle for P5. And, well, can Damien G hold on? If he drives the way he's been driving in the last few laps, then yes, I have full faith in G to come across in P5, but I can't write Godden off this early. Godden has some good pace, and, well, again, linking up them apexes and corner exits, then he could potentially capitalise and at least try and get side by side into the last lap and try and force a mistake on the car of Damien G there, number 40.
Yeah,
it's not going to be an easy job, but there's only one lap to do it.
Yeah, G and Godden battling out. Simon Edwards is going to come round and start the final lap with Luke Maxwell 9 seconds back at the moment. He's not going to be able to get this one. I've got a funny feeling this is going to be Maxwell's Edwards' once more here for the second time in this evening. He is looking like he's going to take a victory, and he's going to do it by about 9 seconds. Win Can he hang on? Can G hang on? Well, the final lap is going to come through right about now for these guys. So if Paul Godden's going to have a go, he's got to have a go soon as he's on this final lap. He's pulling into Damien G with the draft. Round turn 1 we go. He tucks in here as well. This is it, Callum, now, all or nothing.
That certainly is. He needs to push this car as much as he can. You know, last lap of the last race tonight, and well, if he wants them points, he needs to just go for it, go get it. There's a 10-second gap behind, so there's nothing too much to worry about. If there's a slight off track, I'm sure he'll be able to maintain his position. So you kind of just need to full send it and see if you can catch G now in these well, this last remaining lap, and kind of come up to the halfway point in the lap as well already. He really does need to try and make this move stick, and well, if he does, it'll be last second, so there won't be much chance for the comeback.
Definitely ain't. The leader is on his way round the chicane at 11 before he heads round the right-hander of 12 for the final time. Is Godden here? He's only got a few corners left. He's on turn 9. He's got till 13 to go, but it is going to be Simon Edwards is going to come over the line, and he's going to take the second win of the evening. It's maximum points for Edwards, 65 points. He has just managed to grab here as well. Luke Maxwell will take second place at the moment. He's just come over the line here, and Maxwell does get second. I want to give this man a shout out. Is he going to hang on to this third place? It's looking like he will. It's going to be Spin Win is going to take the third place here as well. Absolute stellar job. Damien G hangs on from Paul Godden there. Well done, Spin Win. And away he goes. So sorry, Colin. Love you, really. Gonzaga's going to come over the line. Beasley and Michael LeMay there with Paul LeMay in 10th place. Got caught up in his own little incident, did Paul LeMay, with Seth Brown down into turn 1. Wayne Palmer coming over the line as well, round turn 11. That's really tickled me, you know. Oh dear, I do love entertaining myself at some points, Callum. I've got to be honest here as well. Great racing, Spin Win. I know, I'm sorry, Colin. Oh, Spin Win takes third. Amazing job. Oh, dearie me. Never mind. I'm still here, Callum. Don't panic.
I'm just sitting here smiling but shaking my head.
Oh, dearie me. Right, here are the results. Oh, Simon Edwards is your winner. Luke Maxwell by 9 seconds. Colin Wynn or Spin Win in third. Robert Woodward 4th. Damien G 5th. Paul Godden in 6th. David Beasley 7th. Michael LeMay 8th. George Gonzaga in 9th. With Paul LeMay in 10th. Then we got Wayne Palmer, Phil Glover, Seth Brown, David Rolliston and Darrell Taylor, who come out a little bit earlier on as well. Just said he's had enough. I'm done for Darrell Taylor, so he called it a day there as well. We'll give the drivers a couple of minutes to get out of the cars and come and have a chat to us here. We normally get a couple of people in, which is absolutely amazing, so we'll give them a couple of minutes. Well, that was great racing there, Callum. I think we saw everything in race 2.
Yeah, we certainly did. We saw the lows and we saw the highs, and well, just fantastic racing all night around, really. And it's just been a pleasure to sit in the booth tonight watching these cars. And well, honestly, I'm almost speechless of how good some of this racing has been tonight. You know, there was great respect between these drivers, and the pace is so similar as well. There's always action going on all throughout the race, even with a smaller grid.
Yeah, it definitely is there as well. I love it. So now we have KFG and Spin Win. Yeah, we definitely do. Nicknames coming out here as well. So it's absolutely amazing. Oh, I have really tickled myself. I've got to stop laughing, otherwise I'm going to be in trouble. I can just see it now. Darrell will be messaging me going, James, what are you doing? Never mind. Right, let's have a chat with Luke Maxwell here this evening as well. Luke, who finished second in race 1, was leading race 2 right up until the point of where he spun it at turn 6 on lap 7. Luke, welcome into the booth here, buddy. How are you? Luke? Is he muted because I've muted him, or is he muted because he's muted himself? Luke? Okay, no Luke Maxwell for a minute. I'll try and grab him a little bit later. Let's have a chat with Paul Godden here. Paul, welcome into the booth, young sir. How are you?
Yeah, evening, James. Yeah, no, really good. Enjoyed that one.
Yeah, that was a good race, mate. Wasn't you, Damien G and Robert Woodward all having a nice little battle there?
Yeah, we were all very similar pace in that second race, and it was just whoever made the mistake, you could get up the inside and then we were holding each other up. So I thought I would try and follow through and see if we can catch Colin, but he was too far ahead. And then, yeah, we were just all the same kind of pace, and it was just whoever didn't make the mistake. And round here, it's very easy to lose time by just missing your markers by a very small amount. You can lose a lot of time.
Yeah, definitely there as well. How was race 1 for you, though, Paul? You know, how was it generally overall?
Yeah, race 1 was actually really good. So I jumped on. I think I got in from work with about 10 minutes spare. But luckily, I'd done about 2 hours practice last night around here. So I got a fairly comfortable setup. It wasn't perfectly how I'd want it, but it wasn't too bad. And within about 4 or 5 laps, the car felt comfortable. So I thought, I'll just keep it as it is. And yeah, I got stuck behind Robert in the first race. He hadn't done much practice at all, I don't think. And I just couldn't get past him. He was just putting the car where he needed to. And he had and the only bit I was quicker, he had a really strange braking line, which in the second race he got rid of, but it was where we were trying to learn it all, I think. And I was just a bit frustrated I couldn't get past him. And then eventually he made a mistake, and I managed to nip past him. And I thought, I'm second on the grid for the reverse grid, so I'll just keep it steady and clean and try again in race 2. So that's all I've done. But yeah, it's a really enjoyable race, and everyone I saw around me was driving really clean, and it's an unusual track to race around as well. And I wasn't sure if I liked it at first, but I think it's I do like this track now. So
yeah, I'm still not a lover, Paul. I'm sorry, I'm not either. But at the end of the day, mate, as long as you enjoyed yourself, that's all that mattered. Paul, thank you so much for joining us.
No, cheers for it, guys.
Anyone you want to shout out before we let you go?
Yeah, just yourself and Callum for doing a great broadcast. It'll be enjoyable to watch it back tomorrow. And as always, I love to shout out to all the drivers, because I know we didn't have a very big grid tonight, but the grid has got a really strong competitive field, and even with not many cars, it was still really enjoyable for everyone to race on. So it's great to see all the drivers here.
No, definitely. Well, Paul, thank you so much for joining us, bud, and I look forward to having a catch up with you maybe next week.
It will do. Cheers.
Cheers. Right, let's have a chat with Colin Wynn, the man who finished 8th in race 1, takes the podium in race 2, and has managed to gain the nickname of Spin Win here as well after his earlier YouTube channel message. Colin, welcome into the booth. How are you? He's another one who's not here. Why is it?
Cursing me. They're all muted.
I know they're all muted. They've gone, haven't they? Right, I'll tell you what. Let's try. Oh, no. Is he back now? Colin, you there? He's not, is he? Right, let's try and have a chat with Luke Maxwell. What is going on? Why is everybody muted? Hold on. Right, I'm going to jump down into their box here, because I've got a funny feeling they are here, but it is muting them coming into this booth, I think. So hold on, let me have a chat here as well. I've jumped down into the box, boys. Luke, are you here?
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. You hear me?
Yeah, mate, I don't know what was going on, but it was muting you every time I pulled you up there. So let's have a chat with you then, Luke. You know what I mean? Second in race 1, second in race 2, was leading, spun it up in turn 6 there, bud. Not a great ideal scenario for race 2.
No, but after the last few weeks of not making anything out of the feature race, I'm happy with P2. That's some decent points, to be honest. Simon had good pace tonight. I don't think I'd have kept that gap. For sure in the race as the race went on. So I don't think it made a significant difference in the end. But I was pleased overall. It's not a track I've raced at before, so like many, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, good fun.
Yeah, Robert Woodward bought it about 5 minutes before we went live.
Yeah, I think he just bought it, hadn't he?
Yeah, he literally just bought it. You know what I mean? So
I wonder if he had the racing line on.
I don't know, mate. To be honest, apparently I called it a Paul God, and he took some weird breaking points. So I'm probably guessing he might not have done there as well. But Luke, for you in the championship, without Mike Bousson and obviously Simon Edwards, could get not Simon Edwards, John McHutchison, could give you a good old boost here as well in the championship. What's the chances of seeing you across the rest of the season though? Because I know there was talk of you missing some.
Yeah, that's my plan. I missed a couple early on, so I need to try and make all of them really, and hope for some decent points throughout. So yeah, my plan is to make every race now till the end of the season.
Right, okay. I'm sure that will please the rest of the field here, Luke. I'm not going to lie, as you've done an absolutely stellar job. 2 second places, mate. Well done to you. Anyone you want to shout out before we let you go?
I'll give a shout out to Mike and John, I suppose. Yeah. Unlucky guys, and we'll catch you next week, hopefully.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Luke, I'm going to pop you up into the commentary booth because clearly it mutes you when you go up there. And I'm going to have a chat with Mr. Colin Wynn. Take care, Luke.
Cheers, boys.
Take care. Good evening, Mr. Wynn. 8th in race 1, 3rd in race 2. Not bad at all.
Bin Win here. How are you?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I love it. But I didn't spin.
No, you didn't. You did say in YouTube chat though you were going to spin earlier on, and you know what was it? I'm going to spin right round, baby, right round. And you didn't go anywhere. A stellar job from you for 3rd place, mate.
That's ridiculous. It must have been everybody else that was going out in front of me.
Well, some of them didn't even get off the start, mate. I'm not going to lie. Unfortunately, Michael LeMay, Paul Glover, Darryl Taylor and Wayne Palmer all come together on the start. Michael LeMay spun it up off the start line.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah, so there we go. Overall, though, that's going to give you a nice little boost in the championship with people missing here this evening as well. Currently sitting in 11th. Of course, Darryl Taylor had a bad night. Paul LeMay had a rough night. Seth Brown, Jamie Bird. You know, you could be boosting yourself up here. What do you reckon? Top 5 by the end of the season?
Nah, top 3. Let's go for it.
Oh, look at you getting all brave and cocky. Top 3, you reckon?
Bin Win, got to go for it.
Definitely have that, mate, as well.
Not. Maybe top 10.
I reckon top 10's possible, quite easily. Maybe even top 8, I think, to be honest, if you have another performance like that. I want to ask, because I haven't chatted to you since, obviously, for a while now. What's it like being back in the car after missing it for most of last season?
Bloody horrible.
Okay.
I just don't know. I just keep lighting up the rears and spinning. So spin win suits me right now. Just cannot keep it on the track. But when it comes to the race, I seem to keep it on the track. Apart from obviously, where did we have an incident with Damien the other day? Alton Park.
Got it.
Yeah, let's not talk about that.
All right, mate. Well, you have a good one there, bud. Thank you so much for joining me. Anyone you want to shout out before we let you go?
Yes, to everybody that didn't show up tonight and allowed me to get in the top 3. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Well, let's hope it long live and carries on next week, though, mate. Hey.
Thank you very much.
All right, bud. Take care.
Cheers, James.
Well, now we're going to have a quick chat with the winner, the man who pulled out a double win here this evening as well. Simon Edwards capitalised on the Luke Maxwell mistake in race 2, did it all on his own in race 1. Simon, welcome into the booth, buddy. How are you?
Thank you. I'm well. Are you?
I'm very well. I'm all good. You know me. I've watched some great racing. Watched you take a double win. Give yourself a nice little boost in the championship with John not being here. You know, overall, it's been a good night for you, isn't it?
It has, yeah. I mean, I was on holiday a couple of weeks ago at one of my favourite tracks, Alton. But I didn't know if I was going to like this track. I only bought it on Tuesday. But I actually really like it. I was using my Spa setup with a very tiny mod on it, and it was just driving really, really well. as you could probably see.
Yeah.
Apart from when I drive into people and get stuck to them. I'm sorry about that, Damien.
Yeah, I did see that. That was a bit of a weird one because you kind of went on the inside and Damien just couldn't turn in anywhere, could he? Because you were kind of almost cemented together.
What it was is that I was deliberately being really, really patient. So I was a good car and a half length, 2 behind him, trying to judge where he was going to brake, and then he braked really hard, like way before I would have done. And I tried to make it into an overtake because I was just going to run slap bang in the back of him. So that's why it looked really odd, because once I tried to turn, I locked up, obviously, and then I just got stuck to him. And then I just saw Luke flying past me. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely was there. Did you kind of sit there and think, drats, or was there more expletive language coming out of your mouth at that moment?
Well, I was just trying to get off Damien. I didn't want to push him right off the track because we were heading right off the track. So I managed to slow it down. And I was just desperately hoping that we would separate and that we wouldn't have damage. I only had very minor aero damage, knocking about 1 mile an hour off me at most. So it was fine afterwards. And I was catching, or at least putting pressure on Luke a little bit on his lap times. But I think he just had a whoopsie going past Seth there.
Yeah, he definitely did. How was it? Was that moment for you, though, where you sat there and thought, hold on, he's just had a big old whoopsie here, I'm going to win this? Did you sit back and think, woohoo, this is my opportunity?
Yeah. I felt really in control on this track. I never felt like I was going to make a boo-boo on my own. So I was just going along on, just on my average lap times there, and then I noticed Seth had got the fastest lap, so I had to put one in just to get it back.
Yeah,
that's the only thing I did really. I was just going at my 99% pace there. It was just this setup. I just looked into a setup really.
Okay, Simon, well, thanks so much for joining me up in the booth here. Looking forward to seeing how you get on next week as well. Anyone you want to shout out before we let you go?
I'm going to shout out to Damien again. I'm glad he managed to at least finish there. Yeah, sorry, mate. I did that to you at Knockhill as well, I'm pretty sure. Same thing.
You're going to be... I don't know if you're going to get a Christmas card this year, Simon. I'm not going to lie.
No, if it is, it'll be stuck to my forehead or something, won't it?
Yes, mate, you will. But Simon, you take care, buddy, and I'll catch up with you soon.
Yeah, thank you.
Take care. Right, and next up before a chat is Mr. Phil Glover. I think Phil has had an evening to forget here. Phil, that was a rough night, wasn't it, for you, I think?
It was pretty rough, yeah, but the results don't sort of say how much fun I had. It was a fantastic track. Absolutely loved the track. Just a shame that I'm consistently the slowest.
Yeah, but what's that down to, do you think?
My ability.
So a skill issue?
I don't know.
I don't know, mate. There's been races where you've been up there in the top 10, and then there's races where you're down here. This was a rough track, I'm not going to lie. It was always rough. That race too for you, when you went in a little bit hot and nearly hit... Who was it you were racing with at that point? Wayne Palmer, I think it was. And you guys nearly come together and you spun it up and ended up in the gravel. That could happen to anyone.
Yeah. Yeah, because he overtook me, but I had still a bit of pace, but I didn't quite judge that right. But I think in the start of the race, there was a crash, wasn't there? And somebody ended up collecting me, which I don't know whether I had damage. I suspect I probably didn't. It drove okay, to be honest. But yeah, but let's not complain too much. I did enjoy it. It was the first time I've had the track, a bit like Simon. I bought it on Tuesday or Wednesday, I think. And it's a great flowing track. I think that's one of the factors. Obviously it's to do with motorbikes use it a lot, don't they? told me last week,
Yeah.
and I thought it was out of Mongolia, I think. Didn't I?
Yeah, something like that. But Phil, another great, as long as you had fun, that's all that matters. We go on to Silverstone, so, we're back onto home turf and a familiar track as well. But Phil, thank you so much for joining us, bud. Anyone you want to shout out before we let you go?
Yeah, I'd like to shout out to Paul Clark for entertaining all the crowds at Goodwood eventually. He stuck with it, didn't he?
Yeah.
Took the R24 up there, and he looked to be giving it, at least half of its RPM, I would say, which is not bad for a car like that.
Yeah, rocking out 900, I think, isn't it? 900 HP in that NASCAR he's got?
Yeah, it's a big old beast, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we saw it at Birmingham, didn't we?
We did, yeah. A fantastic bit of history there, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely. Well, Phil, thank you so much for joining us, bud, and I'll catch up with you soon.
Yeah, take care, James.
And you,
Cheers,
mate.
Bye.
Well, there you go, guys. That rounds out and brings us to the end of the show. Let's have the final word from Callum Milam. Callum, what do you think of that for your first time out?
Ah, it was fantastic. I can't say anything bad about what we saw tonight. Fantastic racing, close from the start till the very end. So I'm thoroughly impressed with all the drivers that are out there tonight, and wish them all the best going forward.
Yeah, definitely there as well. So that brings us to the end of the broadcast for this evening, guys. Thank you so much. Robert, the racing line was off, he says, and KFG laughing there as well. So thank you so much for joining us here this evening, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure having you here, and we've seen some great racing throughout the two races. We are off to Silverstone next week. Don't forget, tomorrow night coming up on the JPB, we have got the final round of the SRL TCR Season 6, Round 6, from Knock Hill Reverse. And then on Saturday we've got the TSRC Round 3 from Valencia for their 3-hour endurance, and the VWSC Modern Series from Monza, 60 minutes of Monza. So get involved in that one over this weekend. But for now, guys, from myself up here in the booth and from Callum Milam, as always, you all take care. Have a great week, and you never know, we might see you on the track sometime. Good night.